Babes,
Mr.
Bloodbath
Hush.
Babes.
Mr. Hush, probably. I put on YouTube some footage of me at Mr. Hush. I think that was Mr. Hush.
Well, I think James posted something on his thing with you at Blood.
Blood and Babes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Blood and Babes. James and I were at Blood and Babes, and we were also at Connecticut Horror Fest together. Yeah, yeah, those were fun ones. And then I had a lot of fun at Mr. Hush. It was like 4 weeks. I went from Connecticut Horror Fest one weekend to like one weekend off, but I was shooting to the following weekend at Mr. Hush, which was amazing, and then going to Blood and Babes, which was also amazing. Mr. Hush was a great convention. That was Mr. Hush Weekend of Fear. That was in Pennsylvania, and that was great because I got to see some old familiar faces: Tom Savini, Kane Hodder, Brad Laurie, Steve Dash, some of like the classic kinds of people that I grew up like really
Yeah.
like looking up to. And it was so amazing for me as an actress to get there. And the first person I see that runs out and gives me a hug is Kane Hodder. He's like, "Oh, Genoveva, you're here!" And I'm just like, "Wow!" Like that's how far my life has come. And I'm very thankful. I feel very blessed, because they're all such wonderful people.
I hear that about Kane. I hear that Kane is probably one of the most kind people to deal with. I have a friend that also goes to a lot of conventions, and he knows Kane from he helped Adam Green promote his TV show,
Hmm.
and so he met Kane through that. And
Oh,
he's like one of the coolest people. So
yeah, he seems like a really nice guy, very down to earth. And, it's nice being a guest at a convention with all these other guests because you really get to know everybody on a very personal level. Because you're hanging out 3 days together, you're going to the green room and eating together. And, being Italian, I know people bond through eating, together.
so I'm not sure if I got this. Are you Italian?
Maybe. It's a
So I got a quick.
Rossi.
Uh, who do you what kind of who do you find inspiring in your life? I mean, either in the movies or in just life in general.
It's a good question. Well, in film, like the people that I really look up to and I think I'm the most inspired by, like actresses wise, would probably be like Barbara Steele, Ingrid Pitt, and I also we haven't mentioned her yet, but I love Asia Argento a lot.
Yeah, you and me both.
Yeah, I totally love her. I actually ran into Julian Sands at Monster Mania, and we were talking about Asia Argento, and I was asking him what it was like working with her and things like that because I'm such a big fan of hers. Um, Fantastic. So those are some of the people that I really, really look up to, and I look up for a lot of the male actors too, like Christopher Lee. Wow, what an amazing actor. He's still working now. Vincent Price, amazing. Peter Cushing, amazing. Robert England, amazing.
Yeah.
Michael Berryman, amazing. Kane Hodder, amazing. Brad Laurie, amazing. Steve Dash, Tom Savini, all these great legends of horror. Just all of them, are just amazing, amazing people that you really look up to because you have to really be a strong person and really believe in yourself to get far in this industry. Um, it takes a very strong, determined nature, to believe in yourself and keep moving forward no matter what.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
What about just in general? I mean, other than actors and actresses, is there anyone that's outside of the filmmaking that you gather inspiration from?
Well, that's a good question. I would say, like on a spiritual level, I would probably get a lot of it. I'm a professional tarot card reader. I'm a professional psychic. I was just at Pagan Pride Day this weekend in New York City at Washington Square Park reading tarot cards for people. So I definitely have this spiritual side. I read a lot of books about like the metaphysical. I've read extensively on Buddhism. And I've seen the Dalai Lama speak a couple times.
Wow.
Yeah, so I would say I have like this religious and spiritual side. I don't know if I necessarily follow any particular religion to a T, but I definitely am very interested in spiritual practices. I burn candles, I certainly pray and chant and things like that. There's definitely a lot of spiritual elements at play in my life. Thich Nhat Hanh is like a Zen Buddhist that I read a lot about. So Buddhism is a huge influence on my life because Buddhism is kind of all about finding happiness within your mind and that anybody really is capable of happiness.
Yeah,
And that's
I agree
empowering,
with that.
right? That's a hopeful
Yeah.
message. Yeah.
Wow. Uh, I was going to ask you about your the psychic thing.
Oh yeah.
I just wasn't quite sure if I wanted to use the word psychic. I wasn't sure if that was if you're comfortable with that, but you brought it up, so can you talk about that a little?
Well, I've been a tarot card reader. I'm not going to say for how long because that'll give away my age, and that's a secret. But since I was a kid, actually, I have come from a family of clairvoyants, which are people that kind of see the future.
Right.
My uncle and my grandmother have had a lot of visions and are very mystical and spiritual people. And then as a child, I had always had dreams, and I've also had, dreams, premonitions of the future, things that have come to pass, dreams that have a lot of symbolism and a lot of bearing that have guided me in my life. And then I also sometimes have dreams about people that pass on, where we have conversations that have a pretty big influence on my life. So I dabble from the psychic, like being like a tarot card reader, a palm reader, a tea leaf reader, a reader of runes, which are stones that are carved with
Right.
different symbols, to pendulums, to really the whole gambit of things. And then I also have dabbled a bit in mediumship, like meeting with people that have had relatives or family members pass on the next state of his existence. You know, once in a while that kind of stuff pops up as well. And then
Wow.
I consider the cards to kind of be a tool for your natural intuitive nature. I believe that everyone has ESP, and we're not fully utilizing every region of our brain, which is a fact. We're not.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah, and I think everybody probably has this ability, and maybe it was with us when we were children and we kind of deprogrammed ourselves away from our ESP potential, our psychic potential. And people like myself that are mystics or that are psychics or that are tarot card readers are people that are still in touch with that part of themselves. And that are helping others, incorporating that into other people's lives, and achieving guidance for their own lives. So, it's very much like every culture has always had mystics, and every ruler, Queen Elizabeth was guided by a mystic, Napoleon was guided by a mystic, Ronald Reagan and Nancy Reagan were guided by an astrologer.
Even Hitler was into the supernatural. You
Exactly
know,
right.
I
Yeah,
mean, and Indians have shamans.
exactly. Yeah.
It just yeah. No, I know what you're saying. I agree with 100% of that. That's
My first boyfriend was half Navajo, actually, believe it or not. And we had such an amazing spiritual connection over the years that we've known each other because we used to always dream of each other. And the last time we saw each other, and this is like a fact, I hadn't seen him in years, and I was sleeping, and I dreamt of him that we were at a concert and we were hanging out. And I woke up, and within 8 hours, he called me for the first time in years. And he was like, you know what, Genevieve, I actually woke up this morning thinking of you. And I was like, that's funny because I dreamt of you last night. And then he had asked me to a concert, which is exactly what we were doing in the dream. We were listening to music somewhere. So it was kind of funny. And what's the probability of someone that you haven't spoken to in quite a few years, all of a sudden you dream of them and they call you within 8 hours?
yeah. There's no such thing as a coincidence.